On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. We've got Zelensky and Trump, two chums, two buddies, getting together and trying to make sure we can bring peace to the world. But, well, Zelensky doesn't want peace. Why? Couple reasons. One, he represents the deep state. Two, he disappears when peace happens. His days are numbered. He probably can't ever go back to his country, frankly. So he doesn't want peace. Now, there's talks of what's possibly coming. Trump obviously talks of what doesn't happen if Russia doesn't do what they're supposed to and bring peace to the world. But what if douchehole doesn't do his part, right? Like, how do we force him, right? A lot of questions. We've got a lot of things we're going to talk about on today's show, as always. Also got a great music show coming up, and we've had fun recording this one today, by the way. We'll see how it goes. We had an F-16 pilot in Poland, unfortunately, in a practice for an air show. Well, he did a maneuver that he's not going to be able to do again, that's for sure. This one's toast. Plane's toast. He didn't seem to eject, so again, heart's going out, not trying to be unsensitive, yet at the same time dealing with a traumatic experience. So very sad. F-16, probably one of the ones they were going to give to Ukraine. Zoran Mamdani is trailing Cuomo if they leave everybody out of the pack, but barely trailing Cuomo. Again, if they remove everybody else from the pack, the Republican dude, Adams, and some other person, when you add those other people, then all of a sudden Mamdani's winning. I don't think, first off, this Tolchin research is worth a crap. It's a new poll, so it's probably super wrong. 1,000 likely voters were talked to. So again, they're really trying to play up like Mamdani's got a chance in hell. I just don't think New York is that dirty, you know what I mean? Oklahoma introduces a certification test to weed out far-left teachers. Got a lot of crazy far-left teachers. I don't want to really play any of them because there's plenty of examples you guys can imagine if you haven't. Oklahoma, kind of the place that would do this, right? I would say one of the most Bible-oriented of the Bible Belt, if you will. Clay Clark's from there. Very super spiritual, religious dude. Love the dude, right? And so, again, a lot happening, a lot going on in the world. And Oklahoma's leading the way like that. Minneapolis chief, where there's a lot of crime and stuff, Floyd and all that, Minneapolis, says we're shorthanded, can't get enough people. We can't get through the day without the help from feds, the federales, without them helping us. And this is what, obviously Tampon Tim, the governor, and others. Mike Lindell's talking about running for governor. I think it'd be an interesting idea. Maybe part of that's selfish because, I don't know, he'll probably stop talking to me. But nonetheless, I like Mike Lindell. And, I think it'd be cool. I'd be like, I knew a dude that ran for governor. Sort of. I talked to a guy a few times that ran for governor. Maybe that's a better way to say it. But still, come on, don't take this away from me. It was a good moment. It was an excellent moment. California faces high pump prices. Phillips 66 shutting down by the end of this year. We've got one other facility, Valero's Benicia refinery. They're closing next year. 17% of our refining capacity. Why is it always those numbers, by the way? You guys, seriously, I want to see the math. Is that actually true? 17%. 17%. Whatever the case is, 17%. It's Q% of its refining capacity. It's a bad haircut for California, yeah, because our gas prices already suck balls. I've been talking about this a bit, so yeah, there you go. We're just going to be more unhappy than we've been. Trump directs ICE to intensify operations in these 5 sanctuary cities: New York, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, and Chicago. Now, Chicago has already got, I believe, the National Guard going there. I think that was one of the 18 or 19 cities or whatever shit, right? But I think Chicago, I think it's got it. And yes, I know it's not said that way. We'll see. But New York, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, I don't expect a lot. I don't know. There's smoldering looking cities. Those are the ones I would typically expect to see in that realm. We'll see. San Francisco, too. This one keeps popping up. Golden Gate Bridge is a big one for all of us. So I think that's one they definitely want to take down. And that may very well happen. And could very well happen in the near-term future. And that would be a major black swan event on top of numerous things, but that would be pretty horrific. So from an economic standpoint. And again, I don't know, we were the 4th largest economy, but if you blow up that bridge, that could easily change a little bit. That could drop us a point or two, Trump terminates security detail for Kamala Harris. No longer is she getting Secret Service. She was, and it was normally it's 6 months after you bail out, but Biden extended it to a year, and Trump rescinded that extension, or at least as soon as he found out about it, probably. Finding out there's a third property, Polte is dropping new criminal referral against Lisa Cook. That's that Fed governor chick. She's got another property, the second criminal referral against her based on evidence that she entered into a 15-year mortgage on a third property, which she listed as her second home when she was actually using it as an instrument of rental property or an investment rental property, sorry. So she's another place where she seems to have a habit of faulting mistakenly these different incredibly important data points. Strange. Trump Fed asked the court for a swift decision. Hopefully we'll get that decision quickly. They are talking about both sides. Whatever. Trump, he can fire with cause. They're citing two different cases, Shurtleff versus United States and Reagan versus United States. Both grant the president broad authority to remove executive branch officials in cases where for cause statutes are vaguely defined. So it sounds like they don't really define what for cause is, and, well, you've broke the law. That's cause enough. Well, how much cause do I need? That's enough cause. That's cause, right? There you go. Why? Because. Exactly. Friday morning, fireworks ensue, though. Yeah. Cook versus Trump courtroom showdown. So anyway, they're pushing those same points. I don't really need that second story there. Interesting little point of contention that we should all be aware of, though, about this whole nonsense. C3 posted this. Good for you. I am sure it's total coincidence. The clerk of D.C. courts, Angela Cesar, sends mortgage fraudster Lisa Cook's lawsuit to U.S. District Judge Gia Cobb. Judge Gia Cobb and Lisa Cook, well, they were in the same sorority. How is it not grounds for a recusal from Judge Cobb? That's a good question. If she stays in there, scam would be definitely correct, I would say. Bolton is probing, the probe on Bolton is focusing on the emails that he sent that had to do with his book being created, not so much some of the other stuff that they took from his house. That's going to be a whole separate case that's coming. A lot of that came because of this email scandal, I think. They're curious what other stuff he's got at his house. My guess is they probably found some stuff. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's not as crappy as Trump's, case. We'll find out, though. It will be brought to light, and may he get his day in court, of course. Judge blocks Trump's attempt to fire the Voice of America director. Even though it's an executive branch, they say you have to have approval from the International Broadcasting Advisory Board. Yeah, some stupid advisory board has power over the executive branch. Sorry there, people. I think the judge is Royce Lamberth, U.S. District Court for District of D.C. Shocker. There you go. That's a whole district that, well, it needs to be there because of the D.C. courts, because of D.C., Washington, D.C., but, yeah, needless to say, it needs to be unbluified, probably. We'll see when we get there. Abrego Garcia, his case. This is going to be very interesting if they actually do this. I think this would be suicide for the judge. I'm very curious to see how the justices, especially from the Supreme Court level, deal with all these judges that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They are stepping outside of this district. Judges have way too much power kind of concept that the Supreme Court tried to tamp down. Maybe not very well, but maybe they needed another angle to tamp it from. I don't know, maybe some of these guys are offering it to them, whatever. But this judge for Abrego Garcia is being asked to literally put a gag order on Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem. That would be insane. I pray they do it. I triple dog dare you guys to do it too. I think it would be awesome. Oh, it would be incredible if you guys do that. That will be the most phenomenal, stupid thing you ever did. But we'll see. They're talking about it. Don't get ahead of ourselves, right? Defense Secretary Hegseth says Chinese nationals can't work as coders on DoD cloud systems. No longer are they allowed to have access at all. This is in relation to Microsoft's little snafu. Defense contractors that were from communist China were fully accessing our networks. There's all sorts of something wrong with that. A general and an admiral have turned down last-minute chances to keep the Taliban out of Kabul. Now, during the whole Afghanistan closure and shutdown and all that nonsense, we had a very interesting moment in our country. And we've had a lot of information come forward lately that suggests failure on so many levels around this Afghanistan thing. Milley is all over it. His giant eyebrows are just imprinted as a fossilized record all over this thing. So he's going to take the fall, I think, hard on the Afghanistan failure. But we are finding a lot of information that's coming out that's disturbing. One, that the Taliban were not supposed to take over as quickly as they did, but they, in fact, did take over super fast, like within a month, they said. And it was like, they'll never do it. And yeah, they completely wrong, horribly so. And also, there was a lot of chances to actually hold the Taliban out during the withdrawal better than they did. And this information was never properly utilized as well. So a lot of nasties are coming our way. It is a good time. We're learning a lot about the Minnesota shooter. And something that's been made fun of by a number of different political figures, which is stupid, but we can't get rid, prayer's not going to fix anything. We need to get rid of the guns, they all say, right? But Gavin Newsom said these children were literally praying as they got shot at. Pretty effed up thing. Kay Ivey talked about how prayer works, Governor, and it does. And all the rest of the stuff doesn't matter as much, but I want to point out how it does work. Here's statistics, here's numbers, here's actual proof that prayer works. 116 rifle rounds were shot at the children attending the Catholic Mass. 116 rounds. And things weren't worse than they were. Yeah, I would say prayer works very well. In fact, 116 rounds. Few of them got through. Minneapolis Catholic school shooter Robin Westman had also recently broken up with his partner. We've come to find out. As well as being on the different drugs, which we're going to hear Kennedy telling us something very interesting about the direction they're going there. Minneapolis church shooter's mother, well, she's hired a criminal attorney. I don't know why. I don't know what's up. And I mean, if you have it, she's on the run. I mean, at least as of recording, or at least as of right now, she's on the run. They don't, not the run. No one's found her. She's MIA. She's missing. We don't know. No one saw her. No one ever did see her. She hasn't come to anybody. She hasn't exactly fled that we know. Supposedly she's lawyered up, though I don't know how they know that. Maybe she's called somebody, remotely and like, I ain't turning myself in. Are you shitting me? So I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with this. I don't know what she did. Maybe it was her weapons that he used. So that's my guess. I don't know where else they're going to go with that. Here's Kennedy talking about, the pharmaceutical side of this. And I think it's an interesting point he makes, that's for sure.
I certainly consider mass shootings a health crisis. And we are doing, for the first time, real studies to find out what the etiology of that is. And we're looking for the first time at psychiatric drugs. These kind of mass shooting, people have had guns in this country forever. When I was a kid, we had shooting clubs at our school. Kids, my classmates, and other people would bring a .22 rifle with their guns to school and park it in the parking lot. Nobody was shooting. So there's never been a time in America, in the history of humanity, and people walked into a crowd, into a church or a movie theater or a school or a crowd of strangers and just started randomly shooting. It's happening in our country. It's not happening around the world. And there are many other countries that have comparable levels of guns that we have in this country. We had comparable levels in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and people weren't doing that. Something changed, and it dramatically changed human behavior. And one of the culprits we need to examine is whether the fact that we are the most over-medicated nation in the world, and that a lot of those are psychiatric drugs that have black box warnings on them that warn of suicidal and homicidal ideation. So we are doing those studies right now for the first time, and we will have an answer.
Almost like anybody maybe taking those drugs definitely shouldn't have access to a weapon, as much as I don't like the idea of taking a weapon away. But they have a higher chance of doing homicidal things, just by the nature of the medicine, right? Don't know how many, whatever the percentage is, but that number of people that are on that drug, right? Say it's 1%, which would be really high, I would assume, but let's just call it that. That means 1 out of 100 people likely are going to pick up a rifle and go in and shoot up a bunch of people in school that are taking the drug. Now, I don't know how many are actually on it across the nation. They've made it illegal in a lot of places, at least if you're underage. But I think even people that are older, above age, and again, I'm not arguing to necessarily take it away, though I think you're born perfect as you are. Like, even if you've questioned stuff in your life, like God made you this way for a reason, or in many cases, you made yourself this way for a reason. So it's silly to fight that, I think. But all said, yeah, when it starts causing harm to other people, that's where it gets a little strange. White House taps top RFK Jr. deputy as acting CDC director. So this guy's going to be running it while Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is, quote unquote, I think, in charge. But I think this guy's going to be the acting director. So at least Kennedy doesn't have to do 14 jobs at a time. RFK Jr. is going to testify before the Senate panel over this recent CDC shakeup because he's literally firing a bunch of people. And I frankly think it's a great idea. It's a good place to start. And Congress is getting a little shooken up about it, if you will. Check it out on Alice Tang, my girl. One of.
Jr. will testify to a Senate panel over the recent CDC shakeup. Chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, Senator Mike Crapo, said Kennedy will appear in Washington on September 4th. Senator Ron Wyden, the panel's ranking member, is demanding answers. He wants Kennedy to explain what he called chaos after the recent firings and resignations. Senator Crapo says Kennedy has made addressing the root cause of chronic disease a top priority. Crapo added he looks forward to learning more about the department's actions so far and plans going forward. Kennedy said yesterday that there was a lot of trouble that the CDC. The comments came a day after CDC Director Susan Monarez was fired.
The CDC is an agency that is very troubled for a very long time, and anybody who lived through the COVID pandemic and saw all of these bizarre recommendations that were not science-based, all the misinformation, understands that there's a lot of trouble at CDC, and it's going to require getting rid of some people over the long term in order for us to change the institutional culture.
Kennedy was speaking at a news conference in Texas alongside Governor Greg Abbott. Several top officials sat at the CDC stepped down following the ouster of Susan Monarez as director. One is Dr. Dimitri Dacalakis, director of the agency's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease. He said recent policy and material proposals do not reflect scientific reality. Daskalakis says the move was motivated in part by the removal of COVID-19 vaccines from immunization schedules for healthy children and pregnant women. The CDC's chief medical officer, Deborah Howry, is also exiting. She said Monarez's attempts to be transparent, including posting documents for public comment, had been blocked. The chairman of the Senate's health panel said that the next vaccine advisory meeting could be postponed. The advisory meeting committee on immunization practices meeting is slated to take place on September 18th and 19th. The Senator Bill Cassidy said the meeting should not occur until significant oversight has been conducted.
Sorry, I was having a moment. No, I was kidding. I'm trying to be a little bit dramatic. She's so serious. Don't be so serious. Have a joke. Just kidding, of course. The whole idea of what's going on with the CDC and cleaning it out and the way this is happening right now, and there seems to be no accidents. That's one thing. No coincidences, maybe, but no accidents. That's for sure. Once it happens, it happens. It's so. And I do believe, just to keep it easy, God's sort of really in charge in the big picture, right? So if it becomes so, if it becomes reality, then it must be the proper thing, whatever the reason, right? And then sometimes you got to figure out the reason after the effect. So always know that what's happening right now is perfect. It's just an issue of appreciating the perfection that's built into it. FBI Director Kash Patel, his girlfriend's filing a lawsuit against a former FBI agent who's a podcaster who's slinging some hash about her. She happens to be a beautiful Texas singer. I hope, Kash, you get to see your lovely girlfriend often. All said, yeah, she's suing, and that's good. That's fantabulous. ICE deportations near 200,000 at this moment. They're expecting it to reach closer to the 300,000 range. Judge says Kilmar Abrego Garcia cannot be deported until October. She is saying he has to be within 200 miles of the courthouse, that they've got something, extended hearing on 25th that ordered August this month, so just a few days ago, that blocked his deportation. Yeah, we talked about that. She has another hearing scheduled October 6th, in which she's expecting to do a subsequent 30-day ruling within that. This is one individual, and he's probably going to lose and ultimately end up in some country. Like, he just can't be like, but anywhere I go, I'll be persecuted. Dude, you're going to be persecuted here if you stay and insist that that's how it's going to be, right? We'll put you in the worst prison ever, and we'll show you. Like, either way, man, and I get it. Like, if he got here and he's got a family and, you shouldn't have beat your wife, you shouldn't have been in part of MS-13, you shouldn't be involved in the child trafficking because you got busted in Tennessee doing exactly that, but they let you go. So again, let's not act like you're a saint, my friend. None of us are not sinners, but some of us are a little more on the heavy sinner side. It reminds me of Stinky. Stinky. You'd be like, who's Stinky? It's not a nickname that anybody uses. I used it because it would remind me, so I knew when I'd go into the story who Stinky was. But Stinky is actually pencil neck. It's a code word. Doing stinky on pencil neck. But he does stink right now. You see all of his shizzles starting to come to the surface, it seems, coming out of his pores. I don't know what it is. It's disgusting. But he needs to, I don't know. I don't say come to Jesus because I think it's not too late. I mean, it's never too late. It's never too late, by the way, ever. A lot of people hate that. Damn, you're right. Yeah, it's never too late. But I don't think Pencil Neck's going to figure that out. Long story short, he's going to get busted, and they're going after him. And Devin Nunes is talking about it, and he's got some pretty solid mojo to bring up here. Check it out.
I want to ask you, we've exposed, because of your great work, all of I think we're going to learn about Russiagate. There's a few things left, but we got it. We know how bad it is. Is it time to treat the Ukraine impeachment as the second Russiagate and declassify the whistleblower complaint and all the other evidence? It seems to me that the same playbook was run 3 years later.
Yeah, it's all the same conspiracy done by the same people. So, I said from the very beginning when Schiff brought this whistleblower out, John, you may remember, I said,
yep.
What whistleblower? And then we find out, well, he had talked to the whistleblower. And then you had the corrupted, inspector general that was involved in all those shenanigans. So there should be a lot of data from the inspector general that should all get declassified. All the meetings of this so-called whistleblower. Because in fact, this guy wasn't a whistleblower. He made up a phony story. And the reality is that Schiff and the fake whistleblower and all the people that were involved in this, they cooked this up when they knew that Mueller, the Mueller witch hunt, was going to fail badly. Because remember, we had just gotten through the Mueller witch hunt, John, I'll never forget.
Right.
And then right on cue, like, oh my God, we have a whistleblower, we have a whole other scandal, Trump and Ukraine this time. It's Ukraine, not Russia, it's Ukraine. Yeah. But, it kind of fit the nice narrative at that time to just keep tying Trump to Russia, Ukraine, dirty oligarchs, all of that. And then the reality is, John, you'll remember this, the only person that actually colluded with Russia and Ukraine at the same time, at the same moment, a lot of people forget this, Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff, when he was claiming that me and others and Trump and all these people were going around getting information from Russians to dirty up elections and all of that, well, it was Adam Schiff who actually, he thought he was calling somebody in Ukraine that had information on Trump and Republicans, but the fool actually called to Russia and talked to pranksters that were actually playing a joke on him. So the only one that was caught red-handed doing what he accused everybody else of doing was Schiff. Both Ukrainians, he did it all at the same time. Thought his motive was to call Ukraine, but he actually ended up getting duped by Russians. And then outside of that, the only people we know that worked with Russians was the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democrats.
Did you guys hear when he said right on cue? Right on cue. And what he meant is right on cue, like Q-U-E, U-E, or whatever, the Q, you've queued it up. It's been queued. right on cue, he showed up and did such and such. But can you imagine how you can chop that? He said, right on cue. Right on cue. I just love people. I love the way people are. Because again, that one phrase, if you take it out of context, that was just an example. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes things pop up. I'm like, I'll make a point. All right, so what do we got here? We got Johnson. Saying there's probably going to be a vote on Epstein. Probably. All right, well, all right. We're going to hold you to that. Probably. We'll probably hold you to your probably. And, and we maybe might get angry. We might go British on you. I'm furious right now. Don't bring me into this. All right, sorry, man, sorry. You pissed at Sean if you want right now. We got issues in our country. Yeah, anyway, that's a bad accent. But needless to say, we had a conversation with somebody from God knows where. Yeah, so there's probably going to be a vote on Epstein. Well, I mean, the comment really is, what are they building it up? Are they holding it back because they know there's bullshit? Why wouldn't they go in there and nitpick it out? I mean, against that's illegal. So I don't know. Are they preparing us for what's the bullshit that's in there because they know it's there? I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. They're doing what they're doing. At some point, it will come out. It will likely still be a nothing burger. As much as we expect it to be more. Now, that's what I think might be part of the problem, too, by the way. We expect that it's larger than it is. And if it's not that large, then we're going to be like, it's fake. Right? So, J.D. Vance, hanging out in Cheesetown, says Donald Trump has successfully gotten Democrats to support crime. I think he's kind of right. Is Milwaukee a super safe city right now? It has some crime problems. It's a beautiful city. There are a lot of incredible, hardworking people who live there, Vance said. But let's be honest, Milwaukee has some crime problems. Chicago has had a lot of crime problems. Yeah, we got some crime issues floating around, don't we? Well, here's Stephen Miller talking about the crazy Democrats and their whole theory of how, there's no crime. What are you talking about? This is a mostly peaceful protest. Get out of here.
Well, look, Laura, we've seen the polling. This is a 99 to 1% issue. In other words, 99% of the public says crime is either a problem or a major problem in their community. Only 1% of the country says crime is not a problem in our nation's major cities. Think about that for a second. Democrats have chosen a 1% issue. And over 80% of the country says crime is a major problem. President Trump has shown in just the last 2 weeks in Washington, D.C., that if you have the willpower and the strength, that you can break the back of these criminal gangs. There's been a steeper drop in crime in D.C. as the mayor herself has acknowledged than any city has seen in American history over just the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, compare that to Chicago, where last weekend, 34 Chicagoans were shot, multiple were killed, and among the dead, a 5-year-old boy gunned down by gang violence in that city. That is the Democrat policy. Bloodshed, gang violence, and suffering. President Trump and Republicans are offering no crime, security, and peace.
I hope he's not like that at home, guys. You know what I mean? Like he's like doing the directions on the microwave thing. Like he's like, all right, they say to put it in the microwave for exactly 5 minutes. And then at that point, you then take off the plastic and you put it back in for half power for 2 more minutes. Right? Like I love Steve Miller. And that maybe is horrible. I'm just trying to have fun. I'm trying to broaden my horizons, I guess. But still, Steve, I love you, buddy. You're the best. I could never do what he does. The amount of theatrics that's needed, you got to do the hand things, too. I don't like the hand things. I do not ever want to be a politician. Please, for anybody out there, be like, Dan doesn't want to be a politician. Just always please remind any new audience people.
Well, look, Laura, we've seen the polling.
The polling? He's haunting me. Newsom deploys crime suppression teams in California, though, after bashing Trump's crime crackdown. There's a crackdown in Crime Town. Gavin Newsom is actually announcing deployment of his crime suppression teams. He's trying to get his National Guard up to speed to be able to help in other cities. Not that he's got any problem cities. His cities smell like roses. That's interesting in and of itself. But I'm going to give the man points. He's the only Democrat so far that's actually kind of figured out the secret sauce. He's running for president. Supposedly his numbers, depending on what stupid polls you listen to, are decent. I mean, I would say out of any of the Republican or Democrat candidates that are out there, he's the only one that's got a snowball's chance in hell. What's still funny is you still need that white woman vote. The white woman is probably going to be the whole deal breaker with the Democrat Party. If the white woman can get back past the grab him by the pussy comments, if the white woman can get past that, we actually might be able to save this country. But if the white woman can't, we'll see. We'll get Mom Donnie. We'll get friggin' Gavin Newsom. Chart and Baltimore Democrats that are hoping you'll never see. Their homicide rates are horrible. Their crime is horrible. There's horrible. It's one of the most violent places in the country. Hey, look at that. In 17 days since the Guard was deployed, Baltimore has recorded more than 2,500 crimes, including 6 homicides, 9 rapes, 400 assaults, 252 auto thefts, 155 burglaries, 440 acres of vandalism, and a partridge in a pear tree. And this is okay to most people. Like, again, we're just bringing attention to it. That's the funny thing. People finally feel, the sheeple, feel safe to come out with us. Remember the starting a movement? Just being one of 3 people, man. Stand up. Be like, this is stupid. And that'd be like someone behind you be like, yeah. But they will. It'll happen. You're doing it. It's you guys. Democrat Rep. John Larson calls on Americans to rise up against the Gestapo. We only have to watch like 8 seconds of this, I think, honestly. 18. We're going to give it 18 just to give me some wiggle room, but it's very little time. And then we hear Gestapo man.
New tonight, members across several communities gathered to speak out on recent ICE detainments across the state. News 8's Bob Wilson has more on what they are calling for and how the federal government is responding.
This is a time for good trouble. This is a time for Americans to rise up.
It was all right. 19 seconds when he really kind of finished that last up. Pretty close, though. Pretty close. Rise up. So that's rhetoric of a kind that probably shouldn't be okay. Ooh, guys, look, here's the thing. I got to do this right now. I keep forgetting. I forgot to put commercials in my show, which many of you are like, I thought it was a better show than normal. Yeah, shut up. That's not cool. Like, I got to pay the bills, man. Right now, I'm hooking you up with some sweetness when it comes to MyPillow. There's a lot of incredible products. You're going to get free shipping, free digital coupons. Awesome. Just use coupon code OTF, or preferably go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Take advantage of the huge deals. Also, call 1-800-544-8939. 1-800-544-8939. Again, they got mattresses, free shipping. They've got the toppers, free shipping. Huge price break. Towels are incredible. The best towels ever. You're going to love every towel you ever get of theirs. Doesn't matter which one it is. Premier bath towels, the best. The normal bath towels, awesome. The kitchen towels, incredible. The beach towels, freaking big and still awesome because it's the MyPillow towel. And right now, the big deal is the closeout on the Percale sheets. If you've got a bigger bed, for sure, and I mean anything bigger than a twin, this is the insane sale. Get in there now because literally you're not going to be able to get any more. They're going to sell out. It's any color, any size, $29.88. It's stupid. These Percale sheets are going away. I don't think he's doing them anymore, or I don't know. He sometimes comes back with new versions of stuff. But Mike Lindell's a complex guy. We don't want to get into his head too much. I get lost. I get scared. I'd start screaming. We don't want that. We're in the middle of a commercial. Close that sale. Percale bed sheets. Any size, any color. $29.88. You can't beat that. I'm just saying, you can't. Plus the employee pricing on the MyPillow. This the box edge one. It's an incredible pillow. It's the same stuffing. I 100% endorse. This is the one I have. I almost didn't know about that one. I've always had this one. This is the only one I've had. This is it. This is the one I got. I didn't get a box pillow ever. This is the Knife's Edge. I've come to find out they've had cool names. Knife's Edge, Box Edge, Knife's Edge, Box Edge. Oh, it's news at 11. I love these guys. Seriously, go to mypillow.com/OTF. You love your dog? You should get him a dog pillow, dog bed. That's what it is. It's a pillow. And again, mattress, $7.99, incredible price. They can ship it to you for free. We used to have a mattress seller out here in L.A. Oh, your mattress is free. They used to always say it was a pretty cool little jargon they had. Well, free shipping. Damn close. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. OTF on the Fringe. Yeah, duh. And get your free stuff, man. I got some cool shit going on. Get it. Get it while you can. The slippers, too, because they're going away. Those are going away. mypillow.com/OTF. Get the best night of sleep you have ever had. Collins. He's condemning Trump's bid to cut foreign aid using pocket rescissions. She's mad. I think she's Maine. Yeah, she's Maine. Meaning from Republican from the state of Maine. She's not Maine in any way at all. She's minor at best. But Senate Appropriations Committee Chair Susan Collins, with her jowls and a very nasty attitude, she's pissed off at Trump. Of course, he's going to hold back this money, and there's this rescission thing they call the pocket rescission. It's a way to not spend money when they want you to spend money, and we appropriated it. And he's like, well, we're the executors of that, and we didn't. Would you like it back, or would you like us to spend it on something else? And I assume that's legally how it's supposed to happen. What can we spend it on? We didn't want to spend it on that. We have reasons that supersede your stupid law. They don't like that, of course, but whatever. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, he's gone to the White House on Tuesday for a meeting with President Trump. Of course, a lot of people talked about this. And in a statement obtained by Fox News Digital, the spokesperson noted Bill met with the president to discuss the importance of U.S. global health programs and health research that is necessary to save lives, protect Americans' health, and preserve U.S. leadership in the world. That sounds like a bunch of horseshit, doesn't it? It does to me, anyways. I wonder what he met with the president, probably to try to get him to buy in on a bunch of shit, or why do you keep shutting down everything that I'm involved with? And Trump's probably like, because you're the biggest piece of crap on the planet. I doubt he said that exactly like that. Bill Gates is a smart dude. I don't know. I'm under the impression he's a smart dude. He certainly was involved with the growth of Microsoft through a lot. I mean, whether it was given to him or not, from a garage standpoint, he really did kind of run with that. Hopefully, whatever. He maybe had some guidance along the way. It became a giant-ass company. Trump wants, I almost worked there, by the way. I was close. Trump wants early GOP convention ahead of midterms. They don't do that normally. It's normally on the main elections, but this was smart of him. He also, it wouldn't surprise me, might actually go out and campaign at a couple places. I think Trump probably misses it a teeny bit, to be honest. One or two a week, but getting close to the elections, might go out to some of the troubled places and campaign for the people that need the help. So Trump he wants to get this going. He wants to get a lot of energy going, something that Democrats don't do, and they frankly don't have the money for right now. That's also the other funny thing, if you will. Secretary Kristi Noem put this out. DHS is awarding $110 million to more than 600 faith-based organizations and nonprofits across the U.S. In the face of violent criminals and radical organizations intent on hurting American communities, the Trump administration is helping houses of worship, schools, and community centers to harden their defenses against attacks and protect themselves. This money, administered through FEMA's nonprofit security grants program, may be used on security enhancements like cameras, warning, and alert systems, gating and lighting, access control systems, and training programs for staff. Instead of using grant money to fund climate change initiatives and political pet projects, we are using this money to protect American communities, especially places where people gather in prayer. So she's basically telling people, look, if you know somebody that owns a church or something, or you own one or whatever, you can use some of this FEMA money for that instead of the DEI nonsense that it was originally slated for. Ukraine's security guarantees only after peace deal with Moscow. This is Russia basically saying, look, we're not gonna give you any ceasefire deal, and Ukraine's like, we're not gonna give you anything unless you give you allow for security guarantees. Now, what are security guarantees is really the $1,000,000 question, or $1 billion, $1 trillion question, whatever, $quintillion question. Who friggin' knows what the right number is nowadays? That's the question. How that plays out, we'll see. Obviously, there's going to be issues with the ground and the maps and all that nonsense, but there's no way Ukraine, Zelensky's not going to win on that one. So it's either you're going to continue to get annihilated even worse, because Russia's proven to be just horrible over the past week. It's like, look, we're going to destroy you. We will destroy you. Don't make us do that. So this is a big deal. They're shutting down this war. Zelensky's not going to be happy. They want their security guarantees, which, like I joke on the thumbnail, it's like money for him, probably. I want to be able to get out of this. You guys told me if I did X, Y, and Z. He's dealing with Trump like he's the deep state guy that told this douche that, hey, no, we got your back. If something happens, we'll put you on a yacht and head you on out, and you can live the rest of your life in seclusion, right? Change your look, dye your hair, whatever you got to do. And he's like, I can do that. I can dye, I'm an actor. Right? So whatever. He does that. But the problem is he doesn't have any of those friends anymore at all. They're gone. All of them. Every single one of them. All gone. Bye-bye. So this whole Trump is handling, this is a part of the 5D chess that we all talk about. And this has to do with the relationship between Russia, of course, but China and us. And India, let's be fair. What we've done is we've kind of pushed them into bed together, but we've recently made it very difficult on them with a lot of the sanctions, the way we're going at it, the way we actually tariff the crap out of India. India's profits on oil dropped just amazingly. India got hit hard on that. Now, China's still hardcore buying oil from Russia because it really can't buy it from anyone else. But at the same time, they're also paying a 30% tariff at this point. So we're making a crap ton of money off China. We love it. We're like, all right, let's keep doing this. You keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. And life's good, man. We're going to have debt paid off. We're going to have political capital. It's going to be an amazing thing. So we've got Trump kind of playing this to try to cause visible issues for both Russia and China. Russia's having huge issues with its economy. Europe's even not buying from them right now because of many of the problems with Russia buying that. They're actually more douchey about it than we are. I think Trump's probably like, I don't really care what you're doing with Ukraine and Russia. We don't really give a shit about that war, really. To be honest with you, it's not our problem. And it's really not. They think there's a problem then, and that's Europe's problem. It's not our problem. And Russia doesn't want to take over Europe. Like they've said, we've got so much land. We're the biggest country in the world. Like, you guys have been trying to take our land, and that's always been the case. There's all sorts of examples of that. So, again, a lot happening when it comes to the end of the war, if you will. They don't want it. The deep state doesn't. I think Russia does, for sure. I think President Trump for sure does. I don't think Zelensky does, and I don't think Europe does. Though, Trump did have von der Leyen over, and they did a weird little handshake thing that they've kind of been made fun of. So, I don't know. They might have made some sort of sweet, weird deal, and that was the visual of it, because that optics has to happen. We'll see. White House is, because we're talking next week. They're saying maybe having peace, right? So, we'll see. White House clarifies Trump's stance on 600,000 Chinese student visas. I guess this was pissing people off. I don't know. This has to do over like a couple years. He says it's not like, he says we're going to get along with China, but it's different. He said something to the effect of it's 2 years worth of visas, so 300,000 a year. So he's just saying like 600 grand. I don't know why. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know if that was to make China happy, and then we keyed in on it too much. I don't know, whatever. People are people, man. You say stuff, like they can say, trust the plan. Like, these guys know exactly what's going to happen. No, they don't. People do weird shit, man. Like, you just never know what people are going to do. So that's always a factor. Like, these guys have good metrics and stuff. They know what they're doing way better than like someone like me per se, maybe. But they know. But not always goes exactly how you want. Like there's just there's ripples. There's people like me that mess things up. Not necessarily for the good guys, but for the bad guys. Mitsubishi abandons 3 offshore wind projects in Japan. They're even walking away from this kind of nonsense. That's interesting. I'm curious if it's still there. So today, phenomenal. I shared it on X because I was so stoked. I actually took a screenshot of it. I'm curious if it's still good, but it closed because, oh man, whatever. Doesn't matter. We'll mention that maybe after I get to the end of this. But we're still over 40. Crap, it's almost like 41. Damn, silver went up $1 today. $38 on gold. It's over 3,500. Never, I don't think ever been there. And silver's never been over 40. Huge, guys. Dude, I hate to say it, but guys, DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. If you got a 401k or an IRA, get out of that. Tax-free, penalty-free. Get into precious metals IRA. You literally, because the prices they're talking, they're going to go up a bunch. The expectation is breaking 40 was a big break. That's a huge break. And not only did it break, look, see how it went screaming past it? This just means the dollar's dying, guys. The dollar's having issues. Get out of the dollar. The dollar's pegged to your 401k. The stock, it comes back. You're still pegged to the dollar. It's inflation takes a bite out of that every single day. Get out of that. Precious metals don't. It holds the value. You take that value with you. As much of it as you can anyways. There's certainly many steps to this process. Pain in the ass, but Goldco makes it easy. Go to DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system before they get out of you, because they're going to. There it is, right there on the screen. DRSlikesgold.com. Yeah, get out of that nasty system, because they're not looking out for you guys at all. Not at all. Rapid response. This is pretty cool. I like Trump's administration. These guys are cool as hell. But this is who's this? Is Dr. Macari of the FDA, and he's talking about the emergency use authorization. They've gotten rid of it. We read that yesterday. I like hearing it from the people's faces. Check it out.
The FDA did 2 things. One, we approved COVID vaccines for the newest strain, and they're for high-risk individuals. The second thing we did is remove the emergency use authorization for COVID vaccines, which will eliminate the possibility of doing mandates in young, healthy subjects. Mandates are no longer legally possible. But anyone who wants to get a vaccine can get a vaccine. Remember, 20% of medications in the United States are given off-label. The vaccines will still be available.
Dr. McCary, I noticed the role of the physician seems to be increasing here. As a practicing physician, I'm sensitive to that. In other words, doctors are more involved in deciding who gets these vaccines. Talk to me about it.
Well, look, that's exactly what we want. We want to put the power back with doctors and their patients. We want these decisions to be a discussion. The government is not your doctor. The FDA did 2 things.
Oh, yeah, government is not your doctor. I love that final part before it starts looping on itself. Elon Musk posted this, and I thought it was interesting. And it was in response to Sharon Davies, maybe? Or Sharon? I don't know why you'd have 2 R's. It's a lot. Sharon. Anyway, you cannot have a British government saying illegal foreign immigrants are the first legal priority over tax-paying British people. This is an insane position to hold and expect the support of your people. As a government, you are now officially working against the electorate. And Elon Musk responded or said, forward, whatever, the government is committing treason against the people. Elon Musk just saying that, it's going to get his Wise account closed, I'll tell you that. But Elon Musk is going to, obviously, he can't go to England now. England would arrest them, or him, or me. I can't go there for sure. Can't go to France, can't go to England. I wouldn't want to go to France, first off. Ship a damn freaking croissant to me all day long. I don't need to go there. Fuck that. Greenland's energy. There's some energy stakes apparently are triggering some Denmark-U.S. diplomatic clash. They're asked for the U.S. diplomat. You need to come talk to us. By the way, the Denmark royal family, they've been in all sorts of trouble. I want to say one of their sons, I think it's one of their sons, if I remember correctly, has gotten in trouble for like numerous rapes and stuff. He's like the Bill Cosby of the royal families, if you will. He's not doing it with drugs, though, so maybe that's not I don't know who has a better example of the rapes. I'll have to get better at that. We'll figure it out. You come up with a better example of the rapes, and then we'll use that person. We'll insert them instead. Maybe Prince Andrews, maybe, of the royal family. That might be decent. Randy Andy, I think, as he's sometimes called. Whatever. Off on a tangent. Doesn't matter. Sometimes they're fun. Denmark, yeah. They're like, U.S. envoy, you need to come talk to us. It sounds like you're actually talking to people and getting them against us. Like that you actually want to get more involved in the country. And so anyway, whatever. We're quite possibly directly involved with some of their political stuff. It would not surprise me even a teeny tiny bit. Germany's Rheinmetall may produce Lockheed's ATACMSs and our Hellfire missiles. They're apparently talking about maybe doing some of the manufacturing. It's Lockheed Martin that this is their particular weapons. These ATACMS are ones that are the longer range, and Hellfires are not. They're pretty decent range, but not like they're like 20, 30 miles type thing. Then like, 100, 200, 300 miles or whatever the ATACMS, whatever. They're going to start manufacturing them possibly in Germany. I think a lot of this, for whatever reason, we are preparing for more war, or at least building our stockpiles quickly. And so for all the people in Europe that want to get their stockpiles upped, we're going to go ahead and let Germany do it. We probably make some money on the process, but ultimately they can, Germany can make some money on it too. Like, this sounds like kind of a little bit of an olive branch to Germany from us, or Lockheed at least. Now, Lockheed's also on the list of companies that they're possibly looking at of maybe acquiring some stake in, because we want to make sure that we, get something in return. And I still think this goes back to disclosure to a small extent. I think this is partially how that's going to exist. Once you start to acquire enough of stocks, you are allowed to know a lot of things that maybe others don't. So that's a curious thing. And in some of these companies, you have to spend gobs of money to get that sort of foothold in that company too. Germany's ruling CDU party, I guess, is targeting Afghan and Syrian benefit recipients. They're like, again, Germany's kind of learning from a lot of people. You can't just keep giving money to people that are coming there and not necessarily doing anything. You're just inhabiting all these people are inhabiting into your land, if you will. I don't think either of those are technically right, but whatever. All these people are emigrating to you because of asylum and everything else. And they're sucking off the teat of the social system. Social system can't take it. Can't take the volumes, can't take the dollars, it can't take any of it. So Germany, the largest economy in Europe, is struggling. And they're like, we got to do something. And again, it's kind of like what Trump did. Like, we can't keep doing this. One more year, we're a dead country. You say we're a dying country, and we were. Biden was trying to destroy us. He didn't get the 4 years that Trump fudged it up. Did I say it? I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to plead the fifth. Israeli army carries out landing op near Damascus. Apparently they're doing more airstrikes over there. So they landed in at Damascus. This concerns me a little. I don't know. They're not, they're hopefully taking out deep state. Hope. Don't know. I don't have any trust. I know Trump's got to play this the way he's got to play this. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. So, yeah, if you guys want to talk about saying prayers, this is a place we need some prayers thrown, some prayer love, if you will. Israel attempts a decapitation strike on the top Houthi leadership. There was supposedly a meeting. A bunch of them got into this one building over by the presidential palace. Israel hit the shizzle out of that building hard. We don't know how many, if and who and what. So we don't know. We don't know. I say we like I'm involved. But we as a people, I guess, yeah, we don't know who the hell died yet. It's still kind of early. It might take a couple days, especially for them to admit it. So we'll see how that plays out. This Rhode Island prosecutor, you guys remember this story? I'm DA, you can't arrest me. That was trespassing. Yeah, she got a 6-month suspension. The attorney general basically came out and said this is very embarrassing, and I'm not happy this happened. So we hold our attorneys to the highest personal and professional standards, and Ms. Flanagan plainly did not meet those standards here. But yet you're still going to hire her back? Really? Whatever. But yeah, that was pretty cool when she got arrested. And the part when they put her in the car, you can see she's wearing like a thong or something. It looked lovely. Lovely. Love it. Hey, I wasn't asking. It just happened. NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy, says in 2027 we will Return American astronauts to the moon. They're going to the moon again, guys. I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of people don't believe we've ever been there. Some people believe we live on a flat globe. That's going to be a thing that's going to be interesting. So, again, we got a lot of interesting little things that are going to be happening over the next period of time. This, I think, could potentially tie into the diverging paths as well. Again, there's different versions of reality that some people live in versus other people, and I do think that's actually part of this splitting, actually. And again, no right or wrong, but there is definitely two different paths of existence, and we'll see which one's where at the end of it all. That said, that was, I thought, kind of an interesting thing, and I'm under an hour. I love it. I actually had some issues when I first started trying to record this, which it worked out that we were able to work through that. I've got an awesome doo-wop bit of oldies music that we're going to be playing today for any of you guys that like good old, you call it oldies. It was the oldies to me. It was always oldies. It was a radio station in Los Angeles called K-Earth, K-Earth 101. And they played all the old crap. And it was cool. And that was basically that 50s doo-wop and all that kind of crap. And so, again, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys can join us. It's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Fridays. We do it live. But if not, you can just check it out on the channel, maybe on the weekend while you're on the gym or whatever. Check out the music. I usually pull some pretty decent music. Whoops. And I try my best to make it somewhat entertaining. But all that said, we've got a lot of good music. And again, because it's doo-wop, they're literally like 4-second songs. So I've got like 18,000 songs to make up an hour. It was actually frustrating. I was afraid I didn't have enough. I think I'm going to have to talk a little bit. But other than that, I think I got it. All said, it's going to be an hour, people. I love you. And we're going to keep fighting this fight. And I'm glad you're fighting it with me. Where we go one, we freaking go all, baby. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.